What's up, mobile gamers? It's Johns or Gigs, back with another tier list for you guys, trying to get it in before the new season starts because there's going to be a lot of changes. It's going to be pretty crazy. And I'm very excited for this one. Going to try to keep it under 30 minutes, all right? But, I mean, look how many characters there are. It's going to definitely take me a while to do this. At least 20 minutes, even if I went real quick. So I did zoom it in a little bit so you guys can see it a little bit easier. And we do have the two new heroes, Damon and Lasia, however you want to say her name. I don't think it really matters. It's not too important because she is OP. We're just going to start it off right away like that. They're going to nerf her. There's no way they don't. They've already actually talked about it to some of the creators and stuff like that, like, hey, we know she's super strong and we're going to try to change it up a little bit so that she's not crazy overpowered, right? Because honestly, her gun is so good that I would say you don't actually even need her abilities. I think she's that good. She's going to be insane in Battle Royale when it comes out for the new season. That's going to be crazy. Definitely check that out. We're going to go with her, and then we're going to play somebody like Ya, who has just a terrible gun, and see how it goes and see if it's really going to be like a gun-based type of game mode where as long as your character has a good primary weapon, you're going to win. But I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty cool, and I'm very excited for it. So I don't really need to explain too much of like why she is the way she is, why she's so crazy good. Um, you know, she literally has every ability you can possibly think of. She has a scan that reveals enemies. She has a stun that slows enemies. She she has two different methods of fire. She has an ultimate that goes through walls. She headshots for pretty much anyone in the game except tanks, so she can also right hand peek. She's literally got everything that you want in a hero. Like, you play Osas because he can headshot, right? And you play, maybe you play Ya because she has a dash, right? And Lasia, whatever, she has all of that. So she has every good ability in the game mixed into one, and she's pay to win because it costs like $150, $200 to get her, and that's insane. Now, for the rest of these guys, right, Lasia is pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and you guys are going to notice, right, we have S, A, and B. There's no C, D, E, F, none of that. I think that T3 is so balanced that this basically comes down to, does a hero in S tier beat a hero in A tier? You know what I mean? So if you're looking at it, you're going to see, maybe somebody like Christina, all the kit that she has, all of it's good, but Mark does this one thing better than her, and so Mark is a tier above her. So don't really worry about the tiers. The damage is literally the one. You can pick whoever you want. They're all fantastic. They're all super good. And I'm honestly debating even having a B tier, and I think I'm going to keep it around for the simple fact that Gatlin's probably going to be our B tier hero. I just don't see any of these other heroes, you know, um, falling down that low, even though like B tier is still amazing. Like, B tier is still really good. It's better than half the heroes that are not in the damage category. You know what I mean? Like, somebody in B tier for the damage, like Gatlin, is going to be better than somebody in possibly even A tier for like a flanker, or A tier for a healer, stuff like that. So definitely keep that in mind. We'll maybe do like a tier list where it's all of them at once, but I mean, that's like €30. So I'd have to really, I mean, look, let's see. Yeah, we're already 5 minutes in. I've only ranked two heroes, and I haven't even talked about Gatlin. So she does have her second ultimate, which is literally going to be, she's bumping up into A tier once she gets it, I think. And for a lot of people saying, well, you always put her in A tier, why is she in B tier now? The truth is, she's good because she breaks shields. That was pretty much my only reason for putting her in A tier. There's no other hero that can just absolutely demolish a shield, right? However, Now you have more silence ultimates. You have more ultimates that go through shields like Lasia's. You have another hero who actually can break shields, not like super easy, but relatively easy. So when you look at whoops, that was weird. When you're looking at the screen and you're like, who do I want to pick? And the enemy team has two tanks. Normally, you would have to pick Gatlin, but I think with all the changes they've made, you don't necessarily have to pick Gatlin anymore. She's kind of a pick that when you're in a ranked match or a hard match, you're going to pick her and get them to switch off the double tank and then switch off of Gatlin again. So she's almost like, will they pull out the Gatlin to counter our double tank formation? Yes. So you go off double tank, they go off Gatlin, and then you have like almost a gentleman's agreement that no one's going to play a double tank because they're just going to pull out that Gatlin again. So I don't even know how to characterize that because I don't think she's crazy good compared to all the other heroes, compared to the meta. You have somebody like Hua Ling who is actually insane, and she has a lot more characteristics to her kit that are helpful. And then you have other heroes who are just coming up in the ranks, like some of these flankers that can do a little bit more, some of these tanks that are going to be doing a little bit more once we get into Super Season 4. And what's his name? Tigris, right? We're going to call him Tigger, all right? Just that's what we're going to call him. But it makes it difficult because Gatlin used to be really good, but now she's not. Comparatively, anyway, she's not touching Lasia, and I think that the A to B is pretty close. You can put her in A if you want, honestly. It's not something that, is going to upset me or whatever, right? Now, here's the problem. Basically, I just want to put all these guys in S. We have to put somebody in A tier, and it's going to be Christina. Now, she did get her Trap Blossom ultimate, which is awesome. I love that she got it back. However, when you look at all of these other heroes, you really need them to like cluster together in order to get the damage that you need on Christina. She has a little bit of a skill gap, right? Or a higher skill ceiling, however you want to say it, that makes her a little bit more difficult. You have to bounce the grenades just right. And I think that small learning curve is going to bring her down. When you're looking at a hero who, um, is a little bit more difficult to play for the average player, they're going to pick up somebody like Gloria and be like, oh my God, this is so much better. I don't have to worry about like where I place all my shots. And, her jump is pretty decent, but then again, it feels like it's slow. I don't know if that's just me. But she has a lot of good characteristics. I think they're just outshined by most of the other heroes, unfortunately. And one of those that does not outshine her is actually going to be Mark. A lot of you guys are probably going to be upset about this, especially when I always put Mark in S tier, at least in my personal opinion. I love playing Mark. I play him over Hunter, Judix, probably even Skady, if I'm being honest. And I would say he's probably A tier, and I guess I'm going to pretty much have to explain why for you guys. So Mark's really, really good. He's insane, right? He's got insane movement. He's got the rocket. And to be honest with you, the only reason I'm even putting him in A is because, again, I have to put somebody in A. I can't just have every hero's S tier because then there's no point in making a tier list. I might as well just, put out a post on YouTube. Hey, everybody, all the damage heroes are S tier. And then you guys are going to be like, that's not true. So I think when you compare Mark to the other heroes, his mobility definitely puts him ahead. The rocket is really nice, but I think his ultimates leave a little bit to, be desired. And I just think that everybody else can do what he can do better in terms of damage. And if you're going to play him for his board, then you might as well pick a flanker, honestly, because it's just a little bit easier to do the things that he does with a flanker and get that damage off. And if you look at his ultimates, they're not crazy good. They are nice, but we've had a lot of what you call utility ultimates, right? Where the ultimate will shut down a hero almost permanently. And I think that that just makes them outshine him just a little bit. And it's just basically going to be two more that you guys are going to be like, oh, that's insane. How dare you? And the reason being, they are just, outclassed by the other person who's in S tier. So get ready to be mad. Like, skip this part of the video if you're gonna get your feelings hurt. Hunter's A tier, you guys. I know his gun is insane. It's busted, okay? But look at his ultimates. He has a thing that blocks your vision, right? So Hunter is outclassed by a few other people who basically do everything he does, but they do it a little bit better. And a lot of people would say, well, his gun is insane. How can you put him in A tier? And honestly, I think the gun is one of the only things he has going for him. He does have the self-heal, which is nice. It does heal really, really good. And he's very strong, right? I'm not saying he's not strong. But when you compare him to somebody like Lasia, he just doesn't add up. And the gun, while it is insane, I just don't think the other parts of his kit make up for it. Both of his ultimates are pretty lackluster. And when you're comparing kits and comparing heroes, even though his gun is good, even though he has a self-heal and a reveal, which counters Johnny, which counters, somebody like Kazuma, if he's hiding on the ground, you don't know where he is behind a corner, stuff like that. It's nice, right? But you might as well play Lasia if you have her, and you might as well play other heroes if you're trying to use his first ultimate to go against flankers, or use his second ultimate to make it so people can't see. You know what I mean? If you look at his second ultimate, right, a lot of people, myself included, thought it was bogus. Like, it's just not very good. You look at somebody like Judix, and her tactical already beats his ultimate because they can't see. And all you have to do is hit them with it, and they can't see anywhere. With Hunter's ultimate, they can only not see past it. So I think he kind of falls short in just a tiny bit of the same categories as some of these other heroes, where you're basically going to see them all the time, and you might not see hunters as often. Now, a good hunter can easily be OP, easily. But when you're looking at the average player and they're playing hunter, they basically play him for his gun, and all these other heroes have better guns, honestly. They have the ability to right-hand peek just like he does. They may not have a heal or the reveal, but they have abilities that have a little bit more utility. And one of those heroes actually is Judix. Now, okay, you guys, I know you're really upset about this, right? But to be honest with you, she can go in S or A. I think it's bottom of S, top of A. And we're just going to put her in A to make the tier list look good, in terms of like where all the heroes are positioned and stuff like that. It's more for that. And the fact that she only has 4 bullets. The average player is going to have a difficult time managing these 4 bullets. And that's straight up the only reason she's in A tier. Both her ultimates are absolutely busted. Both her tacticals are absolutely busted. They're all top tier. Everything's good except for her passive and the fact she has 4 bullets. Her damage is insane, but you have to remember not every player is going to be able to hit those headshots. And I think she's actually less forgiving, I should say, compared to the other heroes. If you look at Iris, when they changed her gun, right, they changed Iris's gun, and now it didn't sync up. So auto fire would shoot, but then you would miss, even though auto fire shoots automatically once the head comes into view. So they had to tighten the timing where auto fire would trigger and they would still get hit, if that makes any sense. Almost like a hitbox, but for the bullet or something like that. And they should do that with Judix, because it definitely feels like her shots are always missing, even on auto fire. And basically, I've talked to, just random players like, hey, what do you think of the Judix ultimate or blah, blah, blah. And the only thing I can really find that people don't like about her is she only has 4 bullets and her passive is bad. So I'm kind of just putting her in there for the average player and giving her the benefit of the doubt. Like most players will probably play her at an A to S tier level. And when you compare her to the heroes that are above her, she kind of falls short, right? One of the heroes that I would say that's better than her is actually going to be Damon. Now, Damon has a lot of utility that is very much so overlooked. She has insane movement because if you don't latch to a wall, you can actually go really, really far, like insanely, insanely far with her tactical. And it really surprises a lot of people. She has the only one of the only tacticals that stops the flankers in their tracks, like they can't jump or dash. Um, I think Johnny can like sort of jump. Like his tactical still jumps him, just not as far or high. So you can use a let us rewind to get out of it if you need to. But overall, she has everything Judix has, right? She has a lot of utility. She can stop flankers, and she has crazy amounts of damage. And that actually translates into the ability to break shields. This is what I was talking about with Gatlin. Damon can break shields almost as good as Gatlin, but she has everything that somebody like Judix or Mark has on top of being able to break shields. Her ultimate is pretty garbage, but honestly, you just use it as a spacing tool or to get a little extra damage. It's not really the type of ultimate you got to worry about. What you really have to worry about is looking up at her. And honestly, by the time you see her, you're going to die almost instantly unless you see her first and she doesn't see you. And a lot of people would say, well, then why is Kazuma so low rated when you rank the flankers? And the truth is, with Kazuma, you just look, and even if you get hit twice, you can still kill him pretty much right away. Damon has more health. She has a better weapon, so she's going to kill you faster. It's just very tricky to fight a Damon when she's up top if she knows where you're at or if she has any idea where you're going to be. She's very, very strong in that regard, and that's why she's an S tier. I think she does a lot of the things these other heroes in A tier do, just a lot better. And that's pretty much the theme going into S tier is, yes, A tier's insane, but if you're looking for that specific part of the kit, then you're going to have a hard time. And one of the things I mentioned, right, with Damon is she can stop flankers, right? That's a huge, huge part of being a backline damage or even, helping out your Vanguard or your healer. And that is where the other, uh, I don't know, like other heroes come in S tier where they can actually stop people with their utility. And Skady is very underrated for that reason. She has her spider web and the net that she puts out is it stops the flankers in their tracks. And if you're a flanker and you get hit with her web, unless you're at like completely full health when she hits you and she misses a shot, pretty much you're going to die. She's insane. Her passive is absolutely busted. It's so good. You compare that to somebody like Judix or Hunter, their passives aren't very good. Um, but Skady's is. Skady has an insane passive. She has two ultimates that are absolutely great. They both do a ton of damage. Um, and the utility you can find is also very good. Now, Judix does have that silence ultimate. So this is where, if you're looking at it, like you can put her into S tier, but it just kind of depends on the player, right? So I'm just going to assume that the average player is going to do better with somebody like Skady and Damon than they are going to, do good with Judix because they have more bullets, they have more damage, and it's going to be easier for them to take out targets because a lot of people don't throw Judix's abilities enough and stuff like that. So her second ultimate for Skady is very good. It does have a decent amount of utility, but then again, it's like if you don't capitalize on it, then it can sometimes fall short. So I can kind of see Judix and Skady being in the same tier, but that's if you're going to move Judix up to S tier. So It's kind of up to you guys for Judix, and let me know what you think. I did a Judix versus Skady, I believe, but that was before she had her second ultimate. And so now I think that it's definitely a lot closer. The 4 bullets definitely hurt her, whereas Skady, I think she has 7 to 9. It's something like that. Basically, she has enough that you can forgive yourself for missing a few shots. And the second active where she dashes actually reloads her gun, which is crazy good, very underrated. And if you are chaining your abilities correctly with Skady, you're basically going to never be hit. It's going to be very difficult for people to kill you. None of the flankers will be able to stop you because you'll always have your net, or you can just dash and get away. It's very, very strong, and she's definitely one of the most underrated heroes in the damage category, actually. I think she is the most underrated. Unless you guys think Damon's bad, which then Damon's underrated. But that's how we're going to rank Skady. I think that's a pretty safe rank for her. When you're looking at like sniper characters, I think that Damon beats out Judix. I think Skady has more utility compared to somebody like Christina or Mark. She has a little bit more movement. And then you get into Gloria. Now, a lot of people would say Gloria's busted. I don't know. I don't think so, only when you compare her to Damon and Lasia and maybe the other two on the, like, that we still have to rank. Because her shotgun's not good, right? She doesn't have that. She does have the alternate fire like Lasia does, but she doesn't have the ability to, it's kind of like, oh crap, they're close, switch to my shotgun type deal. It's not necessarily a primary you want to run. Just like with Lasia, you don't want to run, without charging her gun. So overall, I think the guns are pretty close in terms of like the S tier characters and A tier characters. But then you're going to look at her tactical, which actually offers you the ability to block off a doorway or a corridor or anything like that. And most of the time you don't see it. I don't know if maybe it's like lag or something like that, but you have to get within a certain distance of it. And then by that time, you're going to hit it anyway, most of the time. She's very, very good. And the only downside is her tactical is her changing modes. So, like, she almost doesn't have a second to active because her rifle is so needed for her to be good. You're needing that rifle in order to, do that crazy amount of damage that she can do. So that's the only downside I can think. Both her ultimates are crazy, crazy good. You can literally melt people. If you drop that ultimate and you have a Damon or a Hualing or an Osas, like, they're going to use the damage ultimate, that pyramid, and they're going to capitalize on that. It's going to be insane. Her first ultimate's also very good. You can basically ensure a kill. Unless it's a full health tank, then maybe it won't kill, but for the most part, it will kill whoever you use it on, which is very, very nice to have in your back pocket. And it's one of those ultimates that no one on A tier has, except for Judix, right? For the most part, at Christina, unless she's over top of you and launches it on top of you, then you might die. But it's very obvious when her ult comes out. It doesn't come out very fast compared to Gloria's. So that's what we're thinking here. Sitting at a decent time. We're going to rank the last two here and then go over everything, make sure we don't want to move anything. Because I might move Judix, right? I might move her because honestly, I love her so much. She's one of my favorite heroes to play. And I just don't want to be biased because I know a lot of you guys are like, you love Judix, so put her in S. Don't put her in S tier because that's cheating. So I'm trying to be objective for the average player, and this is where a lot of people are going to get a little bit angry on the next one. Maybe we'll see. Osas is the king, headshot king besides Lasia, and you can basically do it instantaneously. Lasia and Hualing both have a travel time, whereas Osas does not. It's instant. You let go of the button when you're scoped, and it shoots immediately. So that's very nice. So because of that, he has a a lower skill ceiling. You're going to be able to hit more shots as Osas because you don't have to worry about travel time. So for the average player, they're going to pick him up, and it's going to be easier than Judix because he's manual. You don't have to worry about shields or the auto fire messing up like you do with Judix. He has a very strong tactical. A lot of people probably use it wrong. They wait and they use it almost like a get out of jail card. Like if somebody flanks you, you just drop it on yourself and then you kill them. So it's a good way to use it for sure. But a lot of people neglect the team use, which I think has a lot of utility, just like something like Hunter's Ultimate or Mark's Ultimate. You can basically do that for a smaller portion, but it also does damage if they go into it. So you can effectively cut out a portion of the map just like you can with Gloria. And so that's why he's higher than the A tier heroes. And like I said, these differences are very minute. They don't really even matter, honestly. You can even pick Gatlin, and she's just as good if you're going to put the time in for her. So a lot of these differences, it's like, okay, well, Osas does better headshot damage than Judix, and he has a better ability to block out vision than Hunter's Ultimate and Mark's Ultimate. You know, it's a tactical, so it comes back every like 9 seconds, I want to say. They're going to give him his second ultimate. So depending how strong it is, if they really do nerf it, then he'll stay in S tier. But the teleport is going to make him OP if they don't nerf it. So look out for that. I guarantee you they're going to bring it back, and it's going to be nerfed to the ground. It's not going to be anywhere as good as it used to be. And it's going to lead the way for another second ultimate that I think is going to be meta defining. And that's Hua Ling. Okay. A lot of you guys would probably maybe not put Hua Ling in the place that you see her right now. I'm not really sure. I think you wouldn't put her there because you're not good with her. Hua Ling is going to go into the OP category. She's crazy, crazy good. She has a lot of the same stuff that Lasia has, and especially for me personally, she's a lot easier to use. I don't know how you guys feel about it. You can let me know if you prefer Lasia or Hua Ling, but she's really, really good. She's going to get her second ultimate, which is going to solidify her OP position. She has a reveal that shows you everybody around you in a radius, and it does that like I want to say every 4 seconds or something crazy. So that's really, really strong, you guys. It's a passive, so you don't have to waste a dart as Lasia, or if you're Osas, it's a lot further as Hua Ling than it is with Osas. They have a similar passive. But when you are looking at it, she has an invisibility very similar to like the jump back on Skady's web. And you're going to see a lot of the time that her tactical, when you jump back and go invisible, is decently strong. If you use it wrong, or the enemy is already shooting at you and you're low health, a lot of times you'll jump back and they will still kill you just from shooting at where you were. But if they change it at all, it'll be awesome where you can go in different directions. I don't see them doing that, but they might. When you jump back, right, you go invisible and you get a speed boost. So if they don't kill you, you can go invisible and then be ready. The only downside is that if you charge your arrow, then you come out of invisibility. So definitely keep that in mind. But she's very strong. She has basically the same type of weapon as Lasia, where you don't have to charge as long, but it does do pretty much the same amount of damage. Her ultimate does better damage, in my opinion, because, like, yes, Lasia's does go through walls, and it does technically, I think, do more damage. But you also have that beam that tells you where she's aiming. With Hua Ling, you just hear Blossom, and then you're dead, unless you're a tank. So that's crazy. It's really good. She also has a snare bomb, just like Lasia, and just like Skady, where it does a little bit of damage and slows the enemy, which is very, very good for getting off those shots. a lot of the time what you'll see a good player do is they will use invisibility, get to your side or behind you, snare bomb you, and then headshot you. And that's pretty much the combo for Hua Ling. If you can get her headshots on point, I think she's stronger than Osas, definitely better than Damon, except for in shield breaking capacity. And she definitely rivals Lasia for the top spot. I know a lot of people are going to be maybe freaking out about it. Um, I can understand why some people would put her S tier, but for the most part, I think it's because they're bad with her. She's very, very strong. A top tier Hualing is much scarier than a top tier Osas or Judix or whatever, any of those other heroes. Except for me personally, right? A top tier Skady is a little bit scarier than a Hualing just because she's a little bit more flexible in the movement department. But that's my opinion. So it seems like Hualing's a lot stronger in the right hands, and she's one of those heroes where the average player, once they get that rhythm down, is going to do really, really good with her. A lot better than they will for somebody like Judix, where you only have 4 shots. And I keep coming back to the 4 shots, but I think we're going to do this. Let me know down in the comments if you're upset with that. If you're like, no, Judix is not supposed to be an S tier. I think she deserves it, honestly. It's like Hualing, where if you take the time, you can make use of those 4 shots. Then again, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, 4 shots is not enough. So definitely let me know what you think. I think 4 shots is enough for most people. And honestly, her kit is so good that the utility you get from it is just a lot better in a lot of scenarios, right? The only thing I can think is people basically just going like this and putting all the snipers in the OP tier. But, in my opinion, if you hover wrong with Osas, you can die. His first ultimate's not as good as some of the other S tier heroes. And his tactical, all you have to do is wait for it to go away. Or just chase him in if you really want to just kill him. So I think there's a little bit more leeway in the Osas department than there is with somebody like Hualing. I think it's more difficult to sneak up on her, especially if she has her passive. The passive's insane, you guys, I'm telling you. It's basically like all these scanning heroes, and that's her passive. You know what I mean? She has basically everything you could want in a hero, except for if you like to have like auto fire do a lot of the work for you, because you have to manually fire it and track the trajectory because it has like travel time with her projectiles. So second ultimate's going to come out and she's definitely OP for sure. But I think even without it, she's OP as well, just for how good she is. I think her and Lasia are basically vying for that top spot. So let me know what you think. I think Lasia beats her out right now just a little bit in terms of like usability, just simply for the right hand peak. So, let me know if you think the right hand peak is enough to give it to Lasia, or if you think I made any mistakes on the tiers in this one. Like I said, it doesn't really matter. They're all really, really close, and for the most part, it's just me having fun making a tier list. You don't really need it. I think they're all really good. They're all definitely usable. They're probably the most balanced class in T3 Arena. Like, I think any of the damage dealers is a good pick, and I can see why everyone's always picking damage over tanks or healers and stuff like that, because they're just so much more fun, and all of them are good. Like, you have to be good with Kazuma to pick him up, but you don't have to be good with Gatlin or Gloria to pick him up. So those are my thoughts for you guys. Let me know where your thoughts are, what you're thinking, different heroes and like where they place, and whose second ultimate are you most excited for? Because I think we get two ultimates for the damage dealers, and then, 3 actually. 3 ultimates for the damage dealers, and then I think we get like 8 total this season. So that's 5 more ultimates that are going to be really insane. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So we will see ya in the next one.